Hi everyone. On this panel, we're lucky enough to be hearing from three really talented individuals, each with different stories to share about their journeys and what they're working on the mainframe. So the way it's going to work is each of the folks is going to show a little clip of what they're working on, followed by a little bit of discussion and questions with each other and myself. I'm the moderator, I'm Joe Winchester, and I work on the Zowe project. So to start us off, Jessielaine Punongbayan, who also goes by the pseudonym of Jelly from Broadcom, works in the Czech Republic in Prague. She's going to chat about Zowe and some of the projects she's involved with. And for folks who don't know Jelly before, she's the face and the voice behind her YouTube channel, Mainframe Bytes, very popular, a great source of information, videos about Zowe Explorer, and also videos about the Zowe mobile project, incubator project that Jelly's very much part of. Jelly's also very active on social media. She's a great evangelist and proponent of Zowe and open source technology on the mainframe. She writes blogs, and a little plug in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see she was featured on the Open Mainframe Project I'm a Mainframer podcast, and also on the Terminal Talk podcast, where she talked a lot about Zowe from the perspective of COBOL development. So without further ado, let's hear from Jelly.
As technology progresses, and new developers with new knowledge of modern technologies join the mainframe community, you can't help but think, how can this next generation of developers help in improving mainframe, making it to a more stronger platform? And that's where we thought of it. Zowe Out. It is an interactive learning experience that allows you to learn more about mainframe and the different components of Zowe, such as the CLI, the web desktop, the VS Code extension, and also the mobile application. It is in the form of a game, wherein self-paced interactive tutorial course and hands-on experiences are available. It is a step-by-step guide with checkpoints that includes links to tutorial videos and other resources. It is a fun way to gain more knowledge about mainframe. The goal for this interactive learning experience is to ask the question, what more can you do with mainframe?
I want to ask you a question because one of my team members is working on the AI chatbot that helps people to understand and step-by-step which videos you can do next. It's like your website or your tool, but it is like what's an AI and chatbot powered. So maybe if you want it, we can work together with a project and create some new stuff with our team. It's really useful, and we have really good repository right now. So I would love to work with you if you want.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of open source and the mainframe community. We can help each other out. We have great ideas and we can do this one.
So
Why not?
teaching these skills so important for my job too. And we are also wanted to developer outreach. So working together will be best.
Yeah.
Thanks.
A quick question that I've got, Jelly. You've worked in mainframe for a fair bit longer than I've got. What kind of trends have you seen over that time? Because it's a short period for me, 5 years. I'm trying to sort of see where it's going. But I think with your experience, you've probably seen a bit more of the trends that have happened over the past maybe decade or so.
You're right. I've been working like more than a decade. Like, what was the question again? Sorry, I got fixated on that decade.
The different trends that you've seen over the years on the mainframe.
The different trends. Well, I think we started off. How do I answer that one? I think what I really like in the progress of that career that I have is that when I work in the local bank, they don't have that much budget, so they have this like basic sets of mainframe. Like they use vSum for all of their data with transactions and account information. And then when I went to Singapore and worked for a German bank, they started using this DB2 and IMSS, and then I learned as well this MQ series stuff. And then we work with Eclipse where they do the screen scraping of this kick screens, and then so that you can have this web GUI. And maybe the trend that I'm actually seeing is that, before it's like an attempt to have a really nice web GUIs and user friendly experience, and it improves from time to time. Before, it's like it's really hard to use it. Like you have so um many clicks that you have to do. You have to many pages that you have to open. But now it's like it's easier because we are also using like REST APIs, and if we have those kind of microservices, it's easier to access it. It's easier to use it. It's more how do you say it, like it's user friendly. So that's the trend that I'm seeing. Like through the years, it's getting more and more user friendly than before.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
That kind of passion, I'm gonna say, is like something that I just got because I really am passionate with sharing my knowledge. And I do believe that, all of this knowledge that I have should be shared to everybody because it's like passing on whatever it is that you learned, and I don't want to keep it for myself. It's not useful for me to keep it to myself. And inspiring others can lead to better innovation and a better future.
That's brilliant. So I think what's really good as well is that, I don't know what you think about the mainframe. Sometimes we think we have to be inspired by 60, 70-year-olds, and there are some phenomenal 60, 70-year-olds out there. But sometimes they've forgotten what it's like to be in your 20s or 30s or 40s. Perhaps it's so far distant. It's a bit like, children. It's nice to have. I have two sons, and they have a kinship and relationship. They can play video games that I don't know how to play. So sometimes having that very gradual transition. So it's interesting to watch Robbie asking you for advice, and you're quite struck, and you're thinking, wow, now I'm the adult in the room. Now I'm the
no.
It's really good that you can do that. That you're leading others. And that you can do that.
I'm very thankful that I have that kind of opportunity. It's not. I don't think that everybody has that opportunity, and so yeah.
Great. So next we're going to hear from Simge herself. Simge works as a program leader for IBM in Turkey, in Istanbul. And there she's the organizer of the IBM Z Linux One community where its members can learn about new tech like AI, blockchain, DevOps, Zowe, amongst others, all of which leverage the mainframe platform. And what the group does is it connects its members with technical experts from IBM, platform experts, across the globe, and it's pretty much established to benefit IBM Z Linux One mainframe customers, business partners, anybody really, from anywhere wanting to expand their mainframe skills. Sessions are given in English as well as Turkish. And if you point your phone at the QR code, bottom right-hand corner, it'll take you right to their homepage, and you'll see the calendar of events, upcoming events, recordings of previous sessions. You can sign up, become a member, and get connected to that phenomenal community out there. And at IBM, Simge herself actually manages 19 people, and her team works alongside customers and IBM experts. And one of the projects that her team has been responsible for creating is an application using a mobile device, connect to z/OS. And Simge's colleague Mehmet put together a video on this project. We're going to take a quick look at that video and then have a walkthrough of an accompanying blog.
Zowe is an IBM-supported open-source project. It hosts some of the Z operating system services, making them accessible publicly. Using Zowe, I created a mobile application that aims to help both new and experienced Z users. Z needs more young people, but the new generation is terrified by Z interfaces. They understand things visually and love graphical user interfaces. To enable Z for Generation Z, tools must be modern and easy to understand, such as this one. On the other hand, experienced Z users may need access to the system anywhere, anytime. Whether they need to check the status of a task on the go or they are called by a colleague due to a problem, this app enables them to connect Z with minimum effort and possibly saves them a lot of time. This app uses one of the newest application development frameworks, Flutter, and again, it uses the most modern and common way to communicate, REST APIs. Z is open and modern. I think this is a great way to prove it. I am Mehmet Alp Sümer, and I am proud of working on Z.
I've actually read this.
What?
I've actually read this. It's a
Wow.
detailed instruction on how to create this Flutter project, like to create your own mobile application.
Have you tried it, or you just downloaded how to use it?
Well, I checked it out because I'm using Ionic. So I have tried it in Ionic, and I wanted to see how Mehmet did it in Flutter, and the approach is the same. So I didn't use it. I was trying to
creating a Flutter project is not easy. I think the hardest part was just creating a repo and creating a Flutter app. But whenever you did it, the other parts, it's more easy. And not only this pattern, we have many, but one of the other is the hackathon that we attended, the Code to Curve. We created a blockchain-based solution with IBM Z and Linux One. And we had also a pattern too, but for open source, we can easily share that one.
And is this so? One question that I have is that, are you planning to publish it in Google Play or in iOS?
I don't know. Maybe we can do this. We haven't think about so why not?
I have a question for you, Simge. So
Yes.
you're a manager, right? Of how many people exactly?
19.
19. So how do you find being a manager of that many people, but also being so young? I can't imagine it.
It is a little bit different experience because I can't call myself not a manager. I'm just a team lead. You know, I had an experience as a software engineer. I know what they face, and I know the experience. So I'm just sharing my knowledge and just leading. These are the tasks and these are the ideas that you can follow. And I think it's not that hard because I can think what they're thinking because almost we are in the same age. So I don't think it's that hard. As you know, my organization, how to combine everyone in one place. So it was not hard for me, but creating new stuff and brainstorming sessions makes me really fascinating. I really excited to have that one. So the new ideas makes me so happy. That's why I really like my job. It is my dream job and I'm living it.
There's this, actually, the mobile stuff in Zowe is getting bigger and bigger. So you have Flutter. There's this recent SDK that was given to us, and it's coded under Swift. And he created an application for our iOS and as well as for iPads. And they have a repository now in Zowe, and it's under the client SDK. And then the Ionic part, which is using Angular. So I think it would be great if we can combine all of these three great projects together and, make it bigger or make it like just once so that we don't have like different projects for mobile. I just don't have time to do this incubation project right now because I'm also part of Zowe Explorer, which is like a big project as well. But if we can if we can work together on this, I think it would be really, really great.
I don't know. Do you know that Flutter is something that easily downloadable both iOS and Android? That's why we choose it. The first time I meet with the Flutter was when I am in the Google I/O in San Francisco. I was walking around the code labs. Google also sent me an invitation because I'm a Women Tech Maker ambassador, and I was the only girl that just go to that conference from Turkey. It was really honor for me. And I just walking around the code labs, and they said that this is the Flutter. Why don't you have a code lab? Afterwards, I've seen that whenever you type the code, even you don't build it, you see in your mobile phone. It's really fast and adaptable for any. But as in Flutter, you can also create a web application. That's why when we think about the project, I gave all of the software engineers the possibilities, but the best one was Flutter. So if you want it, we can work on different projects too.
That's great, actually. We can go maybe offline for more technical.
Awesome. So now Jelly and Simge are going to head off and chat about the technical stuff. Let's hear from Robbie, Robbie Avill. So Robbie's background, Robbie joined IBM actually straight out of school about 5 years ago, aged 18. And he started to work in the IBM Z sort of mainframe internal release engineering side. And Robbie tells a story which is where when he joined, surrounded by obviously lots of much older, much wiser, more experienced people from himself, they would sort of say to him, it's going to take you months and months and months, years to become productive, to learn this stuff. And it did take a long time for Robbie to learn, to get to the point where he's at now. And he was sort of challenged by that and wanted to see if that always had to be the way, wanted to see if there was a better way to do release engineering within Z. Robbie left IBM, but fortunately he's back. We're very lucky that he's working on the Zowe project, where he is, I suppose, getting paid to do what he loves. He's working on release management. He's working on the continuous integration, continuous delivery side of Zowe itself. Let's hear what he's up to.
Hi there everybody, Robbie Avill here, and welcome today to my Jenkins overview for the Zowe CI/CD pipeline. Now the first thing I want to show you, strangely enough, isn't actually Jenkins itself, but more the way that our Git repos interact with Jenkins. So when you have a PR, you have two checks that need to pass before you're able to merge it. The DCO, which is just checking who you are that you say you are, and this continuous integration Jenkins PR merge. And what this is a build that is triggered in Jenkins every time a commit is pushed to the branch. So you can see here, if you click on details, you're redirected to the output for the build that was run, and you're told whether or not it ran successfully or unsuccessfully as it's loading now. So you can see here, this one was completely green, so I was able to merge it, no worries. Benefits here are mainly that, as you're working on something, you can see whether or not it's going to be acceptable for a merge or if you're going to need to make any changes to it. It saves a lot of hassle further down the line and makes your life a lot more streamlined. That's the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing that I think is really cool that we have on our Jenkins instance is this Docker Swarm dashboard. So all of our builds that we run on Jenkins are run in their own Docker image. That means that we don't have to worry about what's on the build machine itself and levels of software and things like that. We can make sure that all of the correct levels of software are installed into the Docker image. So as you can see from the dashboard, we have a CPU usage and a memory usage overview. There's also the nodes, which we have the worker and the manager. Obviously, this makes it a lot simpler for the build team if we want to come in and see what memory's free, what CPU's free, any issues that there might be with the Docker Swarm. It makes our lives a lot easier. I think dashboards are generally a good thing to use for that kind of thing. The next thing that I would like to show off is something that makes looking at Jenkins slightly simpler. So at the moment we have a long list of builds that's quite difficult to see the wood through the trees of what's broken and what's not. So in order to counter this, I created some dashboards that would make it a little bit easier to tell when things are working and when they're not. This one is a good example. So this is the RC view or release candidate. So when we release a new version of the product, we need to have a few builds that are working and some tests that are passing, otherwise we can't put the product out. It makes it a lot easier to come in and look at this screen and see that there's 4 big green boxes than it is scrolling up and down a page looking for a sunshine or some rain that Jenkins gives you. And so I thought that this would be a good way to counter that. We have another example of a simple dashboard that I created. This one's called Staging. And what this shows you is the 8 different staging builds for the Git repositories that we store all of our code in. So a good example of how this works, you can see here with Explorer Jez. It was fixed after Jack and Nicole committed their changes 15 days ago. Now, 15 days ago, it probably said that Jack and Nicole had broken the build, but it's good to know that you can have that level of clarity of where exactly things have gone wrong, who may have committed the code that caused the issue, and in turn helping you figure out what will be the best method to fix the problem. So I think the dashboards make that a lot easier than it would be just scrolling up and down here, hoping for the best. The final thing I want to show off to everybody today is this test result report that we get when we run tests on our Jenkins. And if you follow the links, you're taken to a much nicer page than you would normally see within Jenkins for test results. As you can see, you get proper output from the tests as they are run. In the top right, we can see how many tests passed, how many failed, how many were skipped. And also my favorite function of this page is the images that come up with the tests. So as you can see, Jez Explorer was able to run, so we didn't get any errors there. But in a situation where Jez Explorer wasn't able to open, we would get an image that would show what would be on the screen if you tried to run the Jez Explorer. It makes it a lot easier, in my opinion, if you are able to look at pictures and see simpler breakdowns than just having that Jenkins full console where you have to scroll up and down for 15 minutes and hope that you can spot what the error is. We've got a lot of debugging tools in place that make our lives a lot easier. That is just the tip of the iceberg of some of the many, many cool things that we have in our Jenkins instance to make our CI/CD pipeline life as easy as possible. Thank you very much for watching.
So can I ask you a question? What do you like about Jenkins?
Oh, Jenkins. I love Jenkins. It's the best open source tool there is, in my opinion. In terms of packaging and the job that my job role, the sort of systems team of Zowe, it makes my life a lot easier because it has a UI for all of the things that normally I'd be sitting there staring at a CLI for. I don't have to SSH to a machine and trigger a build with my own two hands. I can just click a button that says build it, and then it's all linked to GitHub. So if any commits are pushed to GitHub, then the build triggers itself. You could link it with most open source tools, and it can do pretty much anything you'd want a build system to. So yeah, that's why I like Jenkins. There's not really any downsides to it for me.
It was a great question. Are you publishing your work in any channel like YouTube or anywhere that I would like to watch your series of things that you've done?
No, I actually have never really done anything like that, but I do think that is something I'd like to look into in the future. I think I've sort of been inspired by listening to Jelly talk about her YouTube channel and all the things that she does, and I think there's definitely a gap in people talking about the CI/CD area of programming, and especially Zowe. I think the stuff that we've got on our Jenkins instance is pretty interesting and pretty cool and innovative. So, yeah, no, that's a good question. I haven't done, but definitely something I will be looking forward to.
You definitely do something like that. I know that these processes are harder. We are not independent as Jelly do, because I know the marketing processes, as Joe already mentioned, as an IBMer. But even it's hard, you need to try, and we would like to learn from you.
Well, I'll do my best to pass on my education and knowledge.
After this recording, I'm gonna ask you a favor to give a webinar to my team, because it would be very wonderful if you have time in any time. I don't know, but it's really informative. Both Jelly and you, I'm just asking for any time or availability check.
I'm always happy to do that kind of thing. Yeah, I think automation and things like that is something that has really interested me, and that I think that's the whole reason behind why I like working in continuous integration and continuous delivery. I think most people find it quite dull, but I think just the side of automation and getting everything to not need a person, that's just kind of interesting for me.
Not need you at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, exactly. Work so I don't need a job anymore. That's the point.
Well, yeah.
For me, in 5 years, I'm hoping to see mainframe more integrated in modern tooling. Not just with us vendors, but it will be adapted by other companies as well, like especially in banks. And most importantly, I would love to see the mainframe community to work more together. Mainframers such as Robbie and Simge, who has like knowledge in different modern tooling. I would love our community to work together and learn from each other so that we can build a better mainframe platform.
Awesome. Simge, the mainframe, 5 years.
In 5 years, everyone all together with our community will share what is mainframe. When we ask, they will know, I know that. I've seen in a movie, I've seen in a webinar, I've seen in the university. I would like to hear these answers. And also, not only the big companies and also the other, I know that it's really powerful, and it is, when comparing the others, it's really great at zero downtime. That's why maybe the small businesses can use it via the Linux one. And the more integration with the modern tooling is also in addition. And I would like to copy and paste of your wish. Everyone can access mainframe freely. This one is in 5-year wish and 5 years. Next.
Awesome. Thanks, Simge. Robbie, 5 years.
Okay.
Crystal ball.
5 years. I think in 5 years, I think I'd like to see the openness being, I think, widely used. It is already at the minute, but I think in 5 years there'll be more adopters of the open source tooling that's available on mainframe. And I think Linux on Z should become more adopted in the next 5 years as well. I think that's still sort of in its infancy with Linux 1. So I think in 5 years it would be really interesting to see where that is at, the Linux on Z space. Yeah, I think the openness and just getting more people to use the mainframe and not seeing it as such a restricted piece of equipment anymore. That's, I think, what will happen in the next 5 years.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Jelly, Simge, Robbie. Thanks to all three of you so much for being part of the panel and sharing all the really, really, really good stuff you're working on. And also, I really love the way that you ended up interviewing each other. It's made it a lot easier for me being a sort of moderator. So for anyone who wants to stay in touch, we've got some links up here. For Jelly's YouTube channel, Mainframe Bytes, the little QR code, you can just point your phone or your favorite QR reader at that. And also if you're on Twitter or LinkedIn, check out Jelly. She regularly posts really good content, and not only the stuff that she's working on, but stuff for others, her colleagues at Broadcom, and also others in the wider community who are working with mainframe modernization. Simge, absolutely phenomenal. Thanks so much for sharing everything that you're up to. IBM Z Linux 1 community Turkey, we've got a QR code for that. They're phenomenal. I've checked out the site myself. Really great calendar of upcoming meetups, previous ones, and just remind everybody, a lot of those sessions are in English as well as Turkish, and it's open to mainframers everywhere and anywhere, whoever you are. The Flutter application we saw that was connected to the mainframe using Zowe's REST APIs, QR code to link to that. Blog as well, very detailed blog post. You could hear Jelly and Simge talking about that, and that includes all the instructions, including all the links to the source code for how you can actually install that and get that up and running on your phone. And Robbie, absolutely brilliant job. Knocked it out of the park there on CI/CD. Thanks so much for sharing all the stuff you're working on. Obviously, it's a little harder to get into that externally. The best way is download Zowe, zowe.org/download. You'll see effectively what Robbie and his team in the kitchen deliver in the restaurants. The downloads of Zowe and the frequency and the number of them is just outstanding. If you do want to lift the lid on that and get more involved with the Zowe community, Robbie's team and other squads as well. We heard about Zowe Explorer squad. Please Slack openmainframeproject.org. Once you've joined that, look for all the channels that start #Zowe, and I've listed a few there. Yeah, please stay in touch. Once more, thanks again for 3 panelists today, and stay safe, everyone.